Data analytics is basically the study of imagery and the process of collecting the data and interpreting it and putting it into a format that can be used for any sort of process, whether we're collecting temperature readings from thermal imagery, but it can also be used for mapping of terrain, or if we're collecting crop health from a multispectral standpoint for farmers in the fields. I looked at many different colleges. At the time of me applying for the college, no other college was really doing the kind of work that K-State was. And K-State was very ahead of the game in terms of the UAS department. So I looked at it and was like, there's a career here that I want to involve myself in. Having an employer know that you have the experience in this sort of data collection area is very key when you're trying to look at careers. I would say data analytics is very important in the UAS department because it is a vast majority of what you will find in the field. Data analytics differs from the other tracks because it's more of a process of, one, flying, but also two, understanding the software that goes behind taking that data and making it useful in the terms of what a particular client wants. Because, other tracks we have just the regular flying, the search and rescue, those kind of things, but we also have the composites lab. This is more hands-on and technical based than I would say any of the other tracks that we have. So K-State teaches the data analytics subject in a way I think that is very friendly to a new student. They start, basic bones, like what is RGB imagery, what is a little bit of multispectral imagery. And as you go through the course, they build upon that knowledge, introducing new ideas, such as, again, more multispectral, but then they introduce some LiDAR systems as well as some thermal imagery systems. And they have you go through, physical flying, what that looks like in terms of data analytics. They have you fly it. They have you look at different things that could make for bad data analytics or good data analytics. They also have you work with the post-processing software. And again, there's different software for different applications, so they have you get hands-on experience with all of those. So again, they start you basic and they build upon that and make sure that when you graduate, you are as knowledgeable as you can be. So there's a limitless possibility of applications that it can be used for, and putting it on a UAS just expands that scope.